The manga begins with a youngster on his way home from school when he hears a commotion in the bushes. He comes upon something he never expected to see: a lovely wolf-eared girl laying injured on the ground. He immediately attempts to aid her by dialing 911, but she gets up, apologizes, and kisses his ears. She feels cured after thoroughly enjoying herself and goes away, while the kid collapses on the ground in astonishment. His life will alter permanently from this point forward. The following morning, the same youngster, Mitsuya Daiki, goes to school and runs into his upperclassman, Ayame Sakuragami. She is attractive and comes from an aristocratic family. She is the most popular girl at school. While everyone is complimenting Ayame, Mitsuya is perplexed since she has the same aroma as the girl he saw the day before. When Mitsuya arrives at his classroom, he seems distant, prompting his companion to inquire as to what is wrong, to which he says that he saw a female with animal ears licking his ears. Obviously, his companion does not comprehend and misinterprets this as a sexual fantasy. Mitsuya approaches his class representative, Nishimori-san, to accept handouts from her. Nonetheless, she sniffs him and inquires whether he is wearing perfume since his ears smell different. But he denies it, so she figures it's all in her head. After that, Mitsuya goes to the cafeteria where he sees Ayame. They run into one another, and she tells him to meet her at the old building to discuss about yesterday. Meanwhile, Nishimori is listening in on them. Mitsuya arrives at the meet site after school and is waiting for his senpai when Nishimori approaches and shouts his name. She informs him that she has been hunting for something and has discovered it. He's the one. She climbs on top of him and declares that she can no longer hold back. Not only that, she proceeds to smell Mitsuya, who is unable to respond to the situation, and is ready to kiss his ear when Ayame enters the room unexpectedly. Nishimori, who is annoyed by her interruption, agrees to go, but Ayame rips out her ears and prepared to fight. She assaults Nishimori and informs her that Mitsuya is hers, threatening her with a heavy punch to the ground. But when she looks up, the opponent has already fled. Mitsuya has no understanding what's going on, so Ayame apologizes and explains her that he, and maybe his family members, will now be targeted by Ayakashi. However, she promises to protect him for saving her the day before and asks him to make him hers. Mitsuya is perplexed by her request and requests that Ayame explain the problem first. She accepts, but adds that she wants to lick his ears. Later, Mitsuya arrives with Ayame to her house, where he notices a swarm of maids looking at his ears. They enter a chamber where Ayame says that the female following him is an Ayakashi who is also a wolf. These entities are hunting him because of his ears, which carry a powerful odor holding magical energies that the Ayakashi find delicious. That's why Nishimori was looking for him, and if the Ayakashi get him, they'll lock him up and lick him till he's dry. Mitsuya is concerned that his senpai is also following him. Ayame, on the other hand, intends to seal his odor, which she may achieve by making a commitment with Mitsuya, since they will become spiritually bonded and she will be able to disguise his aroma. Mitsuya is perplexed by her motivations, but she affirms that it is simply for saving her yesterday, and that she has already kissed his ear once, so they only need to do it again. After that, Ayame leaves the room to prepare, and Mitsuya changes into a kimono in the hopes of avoiding being targeted or interacting with the wolf girl once this is finished. When Ayame comes, she starts the contract by kissing Mitsuya's ears and asking him to do the same for her. She is overtaken by the sensation as he licks her ears, till the contract is completed and a pledge ring appears. Mitsuya is relieved that everything is finally over, but Ayame surprises him by telling him that they would have to do it all over again to preserve the contract for the protection of his lord, Mitsuya himself. He is now the master and she is the servant. Furthermore, he cannot leave her side since doing so would sever their bond. As a result, he must now live with Ayame. It's as if he's her prisoner, but this is simply the beginning of a chain of events that will follow him as he becomes the Ayakashi's target. The next morning, Mitsuya wakes up at Ayame's residence and is greeted by her with a morning ear lick. She tells him that they went to his house and gained permission from each family member to begin living in his senpai's mansion, mostly because she will fund his tuition at all costs. Ayame also warns him that he may be attacked at school again, and that she will be unable to assist him because she is in a different class. As a result, she appoints a self-defense bodyguard for him, who happens to be Mitsuya's classmate, Chihachinami. Chihami then takes Mitsuya on a house tour, reassuring him that she will protect him, and informing him that she and the rest of the household are all Ayakashi. She also informs him that they are in a critical scenario in which his family's lives are at stake, and that they will not put him in danger. Chihami then proceeds to torment Mitsuya by saying that he may do anything he wants with Ayame's body, but he is embarrassed and adds that he is not that type of guy. Chihami informs Mitsuya that the contract will safeguard both him and Ayame. He may feel suffocated by being monitored, but she is protecting him, even if the contract shortens her life. When Mitsuya learns of this, he rushes to Ayame and encourages her to annul the contract because it would shorten her life. However, she refuses to terminate the contract since doing so may endanger Mitsuya's family. Mitsuya licks her ear until she agrees to dissolve the contract and reminds her that she is obliged to follow her master's commands. He wraps his arms around her and orders her to listen to him as his servant. Recognizing that there are no other options, Ayame suggests another. She emphasizes that the contract cannot be cancelled, although Mitsuya's lifetime will not be altered if she signs a deal with other Ayakashi princesses. Her lifespan is being shortened because his mana is too strong, and it is consuming her life. But if it is distributed among others, this may be avoided. Mitsuya is first hesitant to have additional servants, but accepts only to assist Ayame survive. Later, the two arrive at school together, and Ayame says farewell and grins at him so that everyone around him notice that they're friends, and the plan works perfectly. All of their classmates are intrigued and jealous of his friendship with the school's hotshot, but Chiwami protects him. During the lunch break, Mitsuya and his bodyguard visit Ayame in the courtyard and have exquisite bentos. They then debate how they may persuade the princess to sign contracts. Ayame is apprehensive that the princesses would impose stringent terms on the contract and may even contemplate kidnapping Mitsuya, so they should select a meeting spot that is favorable to them, such as her mansion. Ayame advises that once they've gathered all of them, Mitsuya deceived them into becoming his slaves. He is skeptical, but Chiwami assures him that she would transform him into a lovely guy from the inside out. Mitsuya wishes to consider an alternative to fooling them, which Ayame suggests is accepting their stated condition. Nonetheless, their requirements will most likely be too difficult to meet. She continues by providing information about their families. There are 5 other established Ayakashi households besides hers. To begin with, the Dugain family is proud of their lengthy history. Second, the Hasuki family owes a lot of land and is a liar. Third, the Tatsukusu family got extremely affluent after reading about the future, and they place a high importance on money. The Shiba family of literature and magical knowledge is another. They will go to any length to obtain knowledge. Finally, the Lidrabar family owns large enterprises. They even attempt to steal Ayame's familial ties. To summarize, they are all awful individuals, as these aristocratic families are continually attempting to deceive the other family. Mitsuya believes it would be hard to fool such individuals after hearing all of this. Still, Ayame offers that the princesses decide on the contract, which they may consent to if he begins to create a strong connection with them. However, as a last option, they can lick Mitsuya's ear, which would quickly make them his prisoner. What concerns Ayame the most is the cat-eared girl Nishimori, who had received a taste of him, but has missed school today. Surprisingly, Mitsuya receives a text message from her stating that she will abduct him shortly. He answers swiftly, but receives no response. Although she reads it, the letter was delivered ahead of time, implying that she is certain she will kidnap him, but it is uncertain when she will attack. They have just 2 options: conceal Mitsuya or go on the offensive. As a result, they plan to conceal the target and have another section abduct her. Furthermore, if she is captured, she will be forced to kiss Mitsuya's ears in order to become his servant. Chiwami and Ayane are overjoyed to utilize this as an opportunity to prepare Mitsuya to defeat the 5 princesses, but the innocent youngster is less than delighted. Moving on, they proceed to evaluate Nishimori's abilities and conclude that she appears to be a skilled fighter, implying that she has the potential to be a cruel Ayakashi. They don't waste any time and decide to put the plan into action right away, with Chiwami in charge of tracking down and apprehending the enemy. Meanwhile, Ayame and Mitsuya return to the park where they previously committed the crime. Mitsuya is worried when they arrive because of Ayame's injuries that day, and he is aware of it as a result of the deal. However, in front of them are black flames known as Shuki, spiritual abilities that have been dormant for a long time. If these powers remain, they can do harm to humans and Ayakashi. Normally, it would be cleaned up, but Ayame isn't doing so since it may distribute Mitsuya's aroma. Although Ayame has previously failed, she is determined to succeed this time for his safety. When the power begins to interfere with her delight, she begins to kiss his ear once again. As a result, she scatters it. Mitsuya notices that Ayame usually fights alone, putting herself in danger, so he asks her to take him the next time since he is now a member of the Sakuragami family and would not want his family to be wounded. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Ayame makes her customary favorite request and begs him to kiss her ear as well. They then return to their business, but as Mitsuya steps in a puddle, he is instantly drawn inside, and the one who captures him is none other than Nishimori. Their scheme has clearly failed. In the next scene, Mitsuya has a dream. but soon wakes up within an unfamiliar room in Nishimori's lap. She informs him that she has abducted him in order to protect him. Nishimori identifies herself as a Bureau of Divination official in the Department of Sorcery. Her role is to safeguard people from Ayakashi, since they must deal with their enormous strength. Mitsuya has only one query regarding her attractive dress after listening to her, but she emphasizes that it's merely a uniform. He's also curious about why she assaulted him at school, although she was drawn to his fragrance at the time. Furthermore, Nishimori reveals that he is in danger because of Ayame, who would gradually murder him since he is her slave, and that if they struck a deal, she may violate it because that is her job. However, there is a misunderstanding since Mitsuya informs her that she is his slave, not the other way around. Nishimori is taken aback by this because she has never heard of a human enslaving an Ayakashi, let alone a princess. However, Mitsuya notes that this is an exception since he possesses a unique appealing quality for them and was never compelled to create the contract. Nonetheless, due of her family's contaminated background, Nishimori is unwilling to trust Ayame's intentions and decides to violate the contract. She binds up Mitsuya but is drawn to his scent and begins to lick his ear, breaking the deal. When his half of the deal fails, the ring on Ayame's ear fails as well. At the same time, she learns about a miasma emanating from the site where Mitsuya has been kidnapped, so Ayame flees to defend her beloved master. Huge magical forces continue to flow from Nishimori's residence, and Ayame breaks into it and discovers a protective barrier. She breaks down the barrier and discovers a door. Nishimori is on top of Mitsuya and is constantly kissing his ear because she's grown so drunk by it that she's lost her wits. Ayame, on the other hand, restores her to normalcy by striking a contract with Mitsuya. Nishimori returns to her senses and agrees that his fragrance must be safeguarded, but she cannot disclose this act to her organization since they would consider her a spy. As a result of conversing with the Bureau of Divination, Ayame recruits her as their family inspector. As payment for this job, she lets Nishimori one ear lick every 2 days. She wants more, but there's no room for bargaining, and Mitsuya's wishes are ignored. Following that, Ayame and Mitsuya renew their contract and the power divide widens. But it isn't enough. A covenant with other princesses is required to keep her life from being cut short. Ayame apologizes to Mitsuya for failing to protect him and requests that he punish her. He rejects and forgives her as usual. She even proposes following him around in private. But that's also a complete no from him. Next, Mitsuya is strolling down the corridor when he encounters Nishimori. She wonders whether they were doing anything obscene in the room, and if so, if she will have to do it as well. But Mitsuya emphasizes that they were merely making the deal. Then Nishimori asks him abruptly whether he wants to return to his regular life, to which Mitsuya says favorably, and she warns him that other Ayakashi would come after him, so Ayame will keep him chained to her for the time being. This is why he shouldn't trust her, because humans and Ayakashi are incompatible in most cases. As a result, before becoming more entangled, he should seal his smell and never approach close to Ayakashis again. The next day, Mitsuya meets with Chiwami and Ayame, but his mind is still on what Nishimori told him the day before. Ayame informs him about the arrival of the first princess tomorrow when they call him out and catch his attention. Nishimori, on the other hand, has returned to the Bureau of Divination. Returning to the subject, they proceed with their strategic conference in order to create a deal with the princess, Hasuki-an. She has a good relationship with Ayame, and they grew up together. Anne is the polar opposite of the other family members and is quite forthright. When Mitsuya hears this, he advises that they explain the circumstances rather than forcing her to do it. Ayame, on the other hand, is opposed to this, since her family would not allow her to become a slave to an unknown guy. That's when she has another thought. Anne agrees to anything if questioned because her family's slogan is strength through fair play. As a result, they will challenge her to a game, beginning with something small. She'll be willing to wager for the contract once she's fired up. Anne is overjoyed to see Ayame, and after some catching up, she spots Mitsuya, who is presented as a boy involved in an Ayakashi incident. She enthusiastically meets Mitsuya, and instantly detects a pleasant odor emanating from him. She approaches him, but Ayame stops her and introduces him as her devoted master, with whom she has a contract seal. Anne is first surprised, but is apprehensive about his suddenly becoming a member of the family. Ayame, on the other hand, dismisses her remark, claiming that a kid like her cannot understand love. Being called a kid fires up Anne. Then, at Ayame's urging, she accepts to fight. When they get at the dojo, Anne makes the initial move, but her attacks are weak, so Ayame easily beats her. As a punishment for her loss, Ayame instructs Anne to learn more about her master's virtues and to serve as his bodyguard. She, of course, agrees to this. Meanwhile, Ayame is ecstatic on the inside because her nefarious intentions are coming to fruition, and the stakes will only rise from here. Ayame and Mitsuya must use all of their methods to make contracts with 5 princesses, and persuading the obstinate nobles will be difficult. There's still a long way to go, but this video comes to an end here. If you like this story and want us to continue, don't forget to subscribe our channel.